So I've been doing a special series inside of the seven figure standard on the energy behind scaling a business seven figure. And this is about points that I think is important to master. This is about leadership. This is about commitment. This is about the power of decision. It's really about the feminine side. And then I'm going to cover a little bit more systems and a little bit more structure into the part two. But now, right now, I'm in part one. And part one is all about the feminine energy that is really powerful. Like, how do we grow our responsibility so that we can hold more? Because if you're not able to hold your responsibility right now, you're probably not going to have attract more because you're already not holding everything you have. The power of decision, the power of knowing where you're going, but going in it with the right frequency. The power of knowing that when you attract something difficult, it is because you are trusted with that difficult things. It is not to punish you by life. It is literally because God, the universe source, trusts you that you know how to turn it into light and be able to raise the frequency of the collective. So with that being said, all of these amazing trainings that are 20 to 45 minutes long, I talk a lot when it comes to things that I'm obsessed with. I have so much to share, but I wanted Christine, that's here, to give her like a kind of a bonus one and give us something regarding that topic of the energy behind scaling. And I've asked her before we started recording, and she had quite a bit of a good idea to add that I had not yet covered. So, Christine, if you were able to add one energetic shift to that series, one energy, one decision, one mindset, one energetic that is going to help someone scale to seven figure, what would it be?
So, what's most important when I think of all of my clients that have gone from zero to multiple millions, have created and scaled like these epic companies, um, and can continue to go, continue to move. One of the biggest aspects is what I call your divinity, and I call it your God frequency. It's the frequency where aren't letting external things shift and change how you show up. And the reason why this is so important when it comes to having a seven-figure business is because I've been in this industry for a very long time, and I have seen so many women come in and leave. They've come in, they've had huge businesses, and then all of a sudden they get overwhelmed because they can't handle the Reddit thread, or they can't handle like the client default, or they can't handle a client, complaining about something. They just can't handle it, and they have absolutely no resilience. And unfortunately, there is an energy that is celebrated with women. And that thing that is celebrated with women is fragility. It is celebrated for you to fall apart because men have been telling you for so long that you can't handle things because they've been using your energy, your emotion, all of those things. They have been using that against you, and they have been using that to show you that you just fall apart and you can't handle the big things. But the truth is, if anyone can handle anything that is big, it is a woman. It is a woman because you think about what we do when we have children. Those of you who have had children can attest to that. When you think of the things that we handle, we are usually the problem solvers. We are usually the ones that get it done, but we've been told we haven't. I saw something recently and it was about the LA fires, and all of the women were talking about, they were like, it's so crazy. My husband wouldn't listen. And I'm like, my intuition says, honey, we need to go. And this is what we get to do. And he's like, no, I'll just wait. It's not a big thing. And they weren't moving. They weren't taking the action that they need to take. And so the women, the mama bears, the people that were, had families and like the kids and stuff, they were like, fuck that shit. I'm taking these kids and we're getting a place. And so they would get the place and the husband would stay in the house. And he's like, honey, you were right. I should have left. But if you look at Hollywood and you look at movies, when shit goes down, who's the person that supposedly handles it all? It's the man. You have been conditioned to believe that this energy or this man is the person who's going to handle it all. And then you have the damsel in the meeting movie, like, what are we going to do? And it's like, that's bullshit. That is not truly how it is in a family and in a, like he's going to be the one. This is what we do. It's usually things that we handle together, right? You either handle it together or the woman is the one with the ideas. And so what this is important for you to remember is that you can handle anything. You would not have manifested, created, like received the success that you have if you weren't meant to handle it. If you weren't the one who was meant to walk through it. And what you have to do is remind yourself is that I wouldn't have this if I wasn't capable of walking with it. And so resilience is so important. And I think about my life and I think about the things that I have experienced in my life or in like even ancestral lines. It's resilience. Resilience, like I've never thought about quitting. If something is going wrong, I'm like, what do we do now? And the big thing, what do I say all the time? You hear it in all of the audios. It is what it is now. What? It is what it is now. What? Not because I am trying to uh put my head in the sand and say, oh, that didn't happen. No, I'm saying, okay, this is fact. This is what it is. Now, what do I want it to be? And I focus my energy towards where things get to go, where I would like things to be. And so we've been conditioned to see us as not being able to handle things so that when big stuff happen, we go and disappear.
Absolutely.
Right.
I just want to say something. I want us to do another video just on Disney because I've talked about it in programs before, but the Disney conditioning that like promoted toxic relationships and promoted women giving away their power in comparison to now, which is very different. The narratives inside of the Disney movie now, it's very empowering, it's very loving, it's about the truth, it's about emotionally being emotionally intelligent. So I think we should like do an entire conversation on that in the future because it's so true. But this is just to show there is so many things that we don't even pay attention to that are actually conditioning us to feel like we are not strong enough on our own. That makes us feel like we need to ask permission, we need saving, we can't do things just us. And for me, when I left my ex and I decided, you know what, I'm like, I always wanted to buy land to build a house, but I was waiting for the right man to do it with because I can't imagine doing that on my own. It's like, I'm a woman, I don't do that. And then 2 weeks later, I had bought 8 acres of land and I will build my dream house. And I haven't done that yet because I'm trying to buy an entire building as an investment property right now. So I'm doing things that only if I was a man, I would have thought is possible for me. But this is also a shift into success, is removing that conditioning that the society and past generations and our past lives have literally made us feel like we're not good enough, feeling like we cannot do big things on our own, feeling like it's we should never ask, we should be the ones supporting and helping everyone, we should never be helped, so it's hard to build a business if you never have help. Like all these things that have made us conditioned to not use our power and not trust our intuition and not trust our judgment and not trust our desire, as if this is not something that we should use because it is so powerful. And when I have decided I'm no longer needing a man to help me build the life of my dream, fuck that shit. I bought a Porsche. I did everything that I was waiting for a man for to do on my own. The minute I decided I don't need it, I empowered me. I don't need anything. I can, like, I walked into that luxury dealership that was like full of Bugattis and Ferraris to buy my car, and I was alone, and I felt so freaking powerful. Like I am the queen of the South. I am coming in and I am buying my Ferrari. I bought a Porsche, not Ferrari, but that's how I felt. Like I was dressed top notch, but I didn't walk in feeling like shy. I didn't walk in feeling like they probably think it's someone else that's buying it for me. I walked in thinking like I can buy any car here. Let me see what's my option. So when we decide like we're doing it now, we're not waiting anymore. I'm not waiting to have 7 figure in the bank in order to show up powerfully. I'm not waiting to have a perfect life circumstance. I'm not waiting to move to a better place. I'm not waiting until I don't have a pimple on my face. I don't wait for things. I take charge. I take responsibility. I take ownership. I show up as if I deserve it because I do. This is when things change.
100%. And this is what I mean when I say God frequency, because this is where you remember that you are both the creator and the creation at the same time. Like you don't need to wait for permission. You are the creator and the creation. And so when you decide that I'm the creator, I say, let there be light, and there is light. I say, I'm going to do this. I decide, and it is so. And it's something that was ripped away from the feminine, whipped away from women, and we were told that we needed to ask for permission. I saw a bill go in somewhere in the United States that they want to now make women in this certain state have to ask their father, their priest, or their husband for permission for birth control or for anything else with her body. And I started
like
laughing and I
Saudi.
said, that's not going to go over well because they don't understand how powerful we are because we'd be like, you can go and take that and screw that up your ass. But it was interesting because I was like, I spoke about it with the rise of the divine feminine. There's a lot of things, timelines that are being collapsed and things that we get to shift and clear. And so if we look at, for example, I use this example all the time. In South Korea, the president tried to bring this martial law up. And the people were like, F that, that's not happening. So it took 4 hours for that to be nipped in the bud because the people were like, we're not having that. That's more evidence of this divine feminine rising. And so it is a call to all of you, like you are seven figure standards, you're creating these multiple seven figure businesses. It's a call for you to take your power back. No more permission, no more asking for it. You get to say, I am God expressed in this body. I call it divinity in a body. I am that. And if I knew that, then would I be asking for permission? Would I be waiting for likes or shares? Would I be not confident in what I want to do, asking my audience if they understand it, or just, using just to justify what I'm doing? No, you wouldn't be doing any of that. You would be showing up in your power. And I remember there was a time when I was, as a young woman, this is a long time ago, y'all. I'm almost 50. So as a young woman, when I was going into Deloitte, I was one of the first Black women that got hired there. And I had to go through all the hoops, all the jumps, all the things. But as a young Black woman, I decided, one, I was going to be the first Black valedictorian. Check, check, did that. I decided that I was going to get the full scholarship that was going to be just based on my merit. Check, check. I did that for my for Tulane. And then I also decided that I was going to work in at the time it was called the Big Six. I was going to work in the Big Six, and check, check, I did it. And so I decided that I was going to walk in there and everybody was going to love me. Everybody was going to fall at my feet. They were going to do all the things because I decided in that energy. And I went in there, proud young woman, one of the only ones that was there. And guess what? Everybody loved me. They treated me with ultimate respect. And I got done what I needed to get done and promoted the way I needed to get, is because I was decisive, because I decided that I was divinity in my body and that nobody else could create in my world what I did not want created. And so I put that on you. In order to have this seven figure energy, you get to decide that I decide and it is done. I decide and it is done. I say it forth. I spoke about this in Sugar Baby earlier. You say it, you speak it out. You've got to decide, I speak and it is so. Death and life are in the power of your tongue. And so if you say something aloud, it is done out loud, aloud. What energy is that? Are you walking in your business asking for permission from likes or fans or people or audience size to be as big as you need to be? Or are you deciding that my income last week doesn't matter? My income last month doesn't matter. My income last year doesn't matter. My audience size doesn't matter. None of that matters. I decide where I'm going and I decide where it's going to be. I speak it out and it is so, and I'm going to be that person because that is the energy that is unstoppable, and it does not matter what anyone else tries to tell you is possible because you decide and it is done. They can have what they want in their life, but you are the creator.
I love this. And for me, there's a shift and something I notice in Christine too when she speaks is, even though she's very empowering, she's very cultured and she's very educated. And one thing that I also have been noticing is when you step into your power, you start talking about powerful things. You start talking about and being interested in things that regards leadership because you become a match for higher leadership. It's no longer the small talk. You talk about politics, you talk about history, you talk about Black culture, you talk about health, you talk about things that are important and impacting the planet. And that is something for me that has changed because 10 years ago, don't tell me about politics. I don't even vote. I like resign on my voting right. And now I'm studying American politics, even though I'm not American. Like I study things from the leaders of the world, for the people that are from the people that are in power. I study economy, I study finances, because I invest and I want to understand the cycles, and I want to understand the big picture because I became a leader. And when you step into your leader, you understand how other people, other leaders in the world, whether it's leaders online that you follow, like Christine and I, or whether it's the world leader that you might not even agree with, but you're trying to understand because they speak from a powerful standpoint, from a leadership position. Even if I don't agree with the way they lead, I can still learn because of the way they lead and because of what they say, and because I understand the psychology behind it. And when you're becoming a leader, when you're becoming the woman that is taking control of her life, that decides, like Christine said, I decide. It's not just I decide and then I go back to my life. It's I decide and I raise my standard in my leadership. I raise my standard in the way I speak and communicate. I raise my standard in the people I allow to waste my time, which is none. I raise my standard in the way that I create offer. I don't post just to post. I post because I have a voice that is significant and my message is substantial and it matters. I don't like, it's no longer about the noise. It's really about the power. And that is what happened when you decide, is immediately it shifts what you're interested in, the things you talk about and you think about and you contemplate, the thing you attract, everything changes.
Yeah, that is so true. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I'm scared to talk about this topic, or I'm scared to talk about this. But this is where I bring you back to that, what I said, divinity. I call divinity the only identity you'll ever need. So, you know how, like, I used to always talk about identity, up leveling your identity, $10 million me, blah, 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 $1 billion me. But guess what? The God frequency me, the divine me, I call it the divine diva, that one, she is a billionaire. She's the millionaire. She's all of it in one. And when I decide that that's the only identity I ever need, then everything that I'm doing from now forward in life is in alignment with me, that instant manifestation that I've been talking about of everything that you desire. And so when you decide that you are a leader, when you decide that I am that divinity and I am walking, you're going to start looking at stuff and you're going to see how it is affecting the world, and you're going to see how it is affecting your audience. And so if you see how it is affecting your audience, and the way I come from it is, we get to create and use the chaos that is happening in this world and decide how we want to utilize that to make our world even more powerful. If there are triggers that are happening, then we get to see those things that are happening in the world, take that energy in, shift that energy, create open space because we've healed that stuff. And then we get to close the door on that stuff that's happening. And so I'm very aware of what's happening in the world, but I also know how to not be an observer of it and not get caught up in it because of what? Divinity. Because God ain't getting caught up in all the things, right? God is not like, oh, I'm lost and this is what's happening and I have no control and no power. No, it's like observing, oh, that's interesting. What do I want? What? It is what it is. Now, what do I want? What do I know gets to be better for my audience and in my world? And so when you have this one soul identity of you being divinity, of you being in God frequency, of you being the decider, of you deciding that this is where it needs to go, you will never get caught up in anything. Cancellations, who cares? They can't cancel God, right? So anybody that tries to cancel you, you're like, okay, you cancel me, but the right people will find me. So you're not afraid to say what you need to say. You're not afraid to share the way you need to share. There's no fear there because there's no one to fear, because there's nothing outside of you that is going to limit you, because you've decided that I know that I have come here as God in this body, and I know that I'm moving from my heart, and I know that I've been placed on here to say or share or do this, and nothing is going to stop me.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we see, like, let's say presidents, it's people that have decided. Like, you don't just happen to, oh, I decided to take a promotion. I'm going to be president of the United States. Like, that's amazing. It came to me. That's not what happened. It's something you go for. You decide that one day you're going to lead a country. You decide that this is going to be you. And that's the path that you're working on, because the person that becomes a president has decided they want to be the leader of the country. So it's also a decision, and it's also about your own leadership. Your leadership is like, if you're able to not be very smart and be a liar and be in a position of leadership, is just to show that you don't need to be perfect and you don't need to have it all figured out. And Some leaders don't even need to have correct information in order to be in position of power. So it's about you have decided and you have followed your path into your own leadership. So what I want to say about this, I don't want to make this about politics, but it's a very good example of what happens when you decide. But the thing is, every single world leader that you look at all have projections, all have people trying to cancel them, no matter who. Like they all have people hating them. They all have people like how many presidents have gotten shot. So it's going to happen. So when you make the decision that you are going to lead and you are going to become of power and you are going to matter and you are going to make an impact, you can decide that it's going to be a negative one or a positive one. Of course, everyone watching this goes from the God frequency and divinity. So it's a clean frequency and it's for the greatest good of all. It's not just for you, it's for the world and it's with a positive outlook. So I love that for us. But we also get to decide and understand that not everyone will have the same, we'll look at what we're looking at and see the same thing. And that cannot stop us. That can stop you from becoming a leader, because no one would have ever become a president and no one would have ever become a world leader if he would have stopped because some people did not agree, some people said mean things about them. They have to accept that it comes with it. Like the duality, the people not believing in what you believe, the people not agreeing with what you say or who you are, or think that you're ugly, or think like all these mean things about you will happen. But once you make the decision, then all of these things are not important. It's not about the noise anymore. Like I said, it's about the impact, and that is not impactful. And if you let things that are not impactful impact you, you're not a leader. You're sitting back down. We need to rise up and stand up and like get our shoulders straight, and also understand that it is in our power. And the minute something comes at you that makes you feel like your power is in jeopardy because you're not able to hold the flip side, you are not yet ready to lead. You are not yet in your power. I get people projecting onto me. Christine and I laugh about it sometimes because I say something and people will understand completely different. And I had to be to a point where I'm like, you know what? I might as well say exactly what I mean, because people will not get it. Some, not everyone, but some people will not get it, even if I try to be very careful. So I don't want to be careful anymore. I just want to lead.
No, I love that. And I mean, you can even take it, like if you take it even out of politics and put it in entertainment, like you have people that have huge followings, like a Taylor Swift, or you have Beyonce. There are people that absolutely hate Beyonce or absolutely hate Taylor Swift. You're never going to please everyone. And that's why we all have our own soul fractals and our own groups and our own people we are meant to speak to. But if you dumb your voice down and you don't stand in your divinity and you try to speak to where everyone hears you, no one hears you. Where you speak to directly to the people you are meant to speak to, they will hear you and they will follow you, because and the people who aren't on your level and they aren't for you, they're going to find someone else. So don't worry about them. They will find someone else that'll be perfect for them. You're not here for everyone. And so when you decide that and you in your power and you're like, well, I can't get canceled because I'm uncancelable, and my message gets to be heard, and it gets to be heard the way I want to say it. I'll tell a story really quickly. So this was years ago, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, I had this same thing that I'm launching now coming up, right? And I had it was called Big God Energy, and for people to really step into their big God energy. And I was explaining how we are the boots on the ground human, right? The spark of God, living through this human body. And I was saying that we aren't waiting on God. God is waiting on us, right? And I was like, it's about you at the time. That's the way I had said it. And I was like, you need to make your decision, and then things can get, moved, like the hordes of spiritual hell, blah, blah, blah. So I thought that this was the most amazing email, and I was feeling so powerful. And I was like, send. So I get a response back. And this is me. I grew up in a very Christian environment and stuff like that. So I was very, very Christian. So I get a response back from somebody in my audience, because I have a big email list, and she was just like, "How dare you? You are blasphemous!" And it was just, she tore me a whole new one, y'all. And I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready yet, because I went and hid. Big God energy was canceled. and I hid from that. But it was because I wasn't ready to hold that message. I haven't had it yet. Like I haven't had it since because I needed to come back to really owning this power. And so then 3 or 4 years later, I can't remember if it was 3 years or 4 years later, I came back and I started to speak about because this message came back through my heart again and it came back even stronger and more powerful. And then everybody was like, yes, we're ready. I'm ready to hear it. But what was most important was that I was ready to own that divinity. At that time, I wasn't ready because I was like, I hope I don't offend people. And it was kind of a scared kind of send, but I thought it was a great email. And so I want you to remember, like we even Em and I like kind of like, oh, and then let other people like get into our heads sometimes, and I let that other person get into my head. But I will tell you today, because I've really built up this power, that isn't happening anymore, because I've decided that you can't cancel me. And if you decide to get off my email list because you think I'm a blasphemer or whatever, then good, because you're going to find someone who's going to be perfect for you, and I wish you well. You see what I mean? So
Mhm.
so don't let, if someone comes at you, let's see, yeah, if someone comes at you, and even if they're a big coach or a big influencer and they're trying to cancel you or tell you things, and instead of going private the next time, just go louder and say yes, because there are people that want to cancel me, but I know this is the message that gets to be held and said, and I'm going to say it. And that will end that situation real quick. I'm telling you, because you stepping up and dealing with it more a different way on this timeline right now is just going to handle it really quickly, and you'll never have it come back to you.
Yeah, I had about a couple years ago, I had people trying to cancel me as well and posting all kinds of things and making a group, and I got inspired to create a paid masterclass about authority and how like you're going to track projection, and it's part of building authority online. And I made so much money because of these haters. Like I made so much money because of them. I'm like, thank you for the inspiration. Like that was amazing. Thank you, God. You can send them back. And I haven't heard from them since because I just needed to get the trigger into like, oh, is this true? Am I doing this? Am I like this? And no, it's not. So let me actually like talk about this, because if it happens to me, it happens to other people. If it happens to me that my family talk bad about me when I'm not there because of my content, while they still ask me for money when they need, it doesn't just happen to me, it happens to other people. It's very convenient for people to like not like you but still need you when they do, right? So one of the how I want to kind of close this topic is entrepreneurship is hard. Like I'm not going to pretend it's easy. It's hard. It's not like, it's constantly finding solutions, constantly overcoming challenges. And that's the reason why my focus in my business is having memberships. And that's why we created Seven Figure Standard, because when you're in Seven Figure Standard, you get to share and say, this just happened. Like, I'm so mad. I got this email. I got this message. I like, you get to share and be held and move on. And the most of the problem that people deal with is they don't have any place that is safe and where people understand them. Like it's hard to find, like my family would not understand any of my challenges because they're not entrepreneurs. They don't have a presence online. So they wouldn't understand what I go through. So if I wouldn't have Christine, it would be hard. It would feel lonely. It would feel like sometimes it's too heavy. Like, can you please help me hold it? Like just for a minute, I need like to catch my breath. And then she does. And then we keep going. So when we have that sisterhood and access to people that understands, that don't judge, that has similar values and similar life, and meaning they also decided to do the hard thing, which is to have a business. When we decide to get in rooms like this and utilize the community, it can actually make things not just easier but also shift faster, because you let it go, you release it. Like sometimes I will say like, I just need to vent, like this person pissed me off, let me get it out of my body, and then I cut the cord and I'm done. I don't need to talk about it again. I don't need you to tell me that person was so mean, because I just got it out. But I need a space to do that. If I don't have a space that feels safe where I can actually exteriorize my challenges and my bad feelings, and I keep them inside, of course it's going to feel heavy. Of course I'm going to like fear that it happens again, because I know that it's just going to add to the heaviness. So it's important to be in spaces that are safe. And that's the reason why there's community in my world, because of that. Because there's not a lot of people that can understand what you go through, but communities and business spaces like this does. So that's like my reminder of utilizing communities, whether you're in my communities or whether you're other communities, doesn't matter. But it's important to not feel like you're walking alone, because yes, you're powerful. And yes, you will be reminded of your power. But if you feel like you're not alone, then you will understand that this power was not a fluke, because everyone else in the room has that power as well. So it's not disappearing, and it's not something that can be turned off unless you decide to, just like you can decide to turn it on.
Yeah. And also having a community. Remember when I was talking about the divine feminine rising, and I was also, I didn't mention it, but with Pluto in Aquarius, that it's really about like getting rid of the silos, right? The pyramids, and having more of a circle. And so that
Mm.
more people are in communities and holding hands together and walking together. Yes, connection and community and supported. Yes. And so it really is when you are forget, right? Because it's really just a forgetting of your power, right? That you are God frequency. When you are in a community like Seven Figure Standards or one of our communities, you have many, many people that are going to remind you of that power, remind you that it is what it is now, what, remind you that you are really beautiful and that you can hold this. And so just remember that this is really about you not being alone, even though you're super, super powerful, because you are extremely powerful. But sometimes we forget.
Yeah. We forget because of the loneliness that entrepreneurship can feel like. And it is so not true that like entrepreneurship is lonely. It's lonely if we decide to not surround ourselves with powerful people. And it's lonely when we decide that we're in competition with other powerful people. But in our world and in the feminine leadership paradigm, it's only community. I win, you win. If I win, you win. If you win, I see this as evidence for me. It means I win too, because now I believe more. If you win big, I don't get triggered because, oh my God, now I stretch my ceiling. I didn't have to hit that number of clients or that income goal in order to believe it can be more, because I just saw my sister being able to do that. So I know I can. So this is the feminine leadership. And this is the power of deciding, like, I decide I'm a leader. I decide that I'm feminine. I decide that I'm as powerful as any other world leaders, and I'm raising my standard. I'm raising the way I show up. I'm raising what I'm interested in. I'm raising what I talk about. I'm raising how valuable I believe my voice is, in the sense of I don't speak like I speak wise, and I attract wise people, and I don't waste my energy and I don't waste my breath when I'm in a room of canceling people, of haters, because they're not wise. So why would I waste my energy? I keep my energy for the people that will speak the same language as me. And these are feminine leaders. So if you can remind yourself of this, of your power, but also of the power of deciding that you get to be powerful, of the power of knowing the communities you're in is also powerful. The power of seeing all the beautiful things that you see as evidence instead of a threat. Like, I see a beautiful house, I don't see this as a threat. I see this as a, oh my God, like, it's going to be so hard to know what house to build on my land because there's so many options. Like, I don't see anything as like making me feel not good enough, because I'm powerful. And when I'm in power, I see power. If I'm disempowered, I will not see power. If you are not able to see things into like evidence of thing inspiring you and elevating you, you're disempowered. And this is your decision that I am getting back in my power, because when I see powerful things and powerful people, I want to feel like, oh, I want to sit at that table, instead of I don't like this person, or this is not good, you know?
Yeah. We should definitely have another conversation too about the whole compound petition thing and how that was also conditioned in women. Um, because when the divine feminine is about like holding hands with each other in community and partnership, and when you remember that, then we all rise together. And when you look at someone in competition, what is it? Is like it steals your joy. It's a stealer of joy, right? Because we are thinking, oh, you know, this person, I'm comparing myself to it. Instead of everyone that I see it as driftwood. I see it as an example of what's possible for me. And I always see whenever I see anyone else's success, I celebrate it hard, not just because they have that success, but also because I wouldn't even see it or be aligned with it and be available to see that if it wasn't something that I could do times 10, right? I see that and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's evidence that I can do that and greater things. I always say, and not necessarily in the Bible, it says, Jesus said, greater things than these shall you do. And I love to always bring that up to people because I'm like, greater works than those you shall do too. So it's like, oh, if it's greater works, that means helping the blind to see, oh, I can do something even greater, turning 5 loaves of bread into like a whole bunch of stuff. I can do something even greater than that. Like, it was no comparison. It was like, I did this, you can't do that. That was built in. That was to make you feel like you weren't powerful. But when you take all that away and remember, I am the kingdom, I am God, right? God frequency, you are unstoppable. And there isn't any comparison. It's all love. It's all we all rise. It's all bigger and better. It's all we get to grow together. And when you remember that, then there is no reason why you can't celebrate everyone in all of their success.
Absolutely. So I'm going to close this topic with come back to this conversation if you lose your power. Like bookmark this thing and come back to it every time you feel like you're not in the zone anymore, you feel triggered, you feel like it's too hard, you feel alone. And if you're not in seven figure standard, get your ass in seven figure standard because you're never going to be alone if you're in my world and in Christine's world. And I want to leave you with I remind you of your power and I activate you, and Christine reminds you of your power and activate you. But it is a decision to continue believing in it and cultivating that power.